somewhere behind a curtain of ivy, tucked into the shoulder of a mountain that no map has ever quite remembered how to draw, there is a cave that glows gold from the inside, even at midnight, even in the rain, even now. It has been glowing like that for longer than anyone can say, patient and unhurried, warming itself for whoever finally finds the path. Tonight, that light is for you. Before we begin, let yourself settle. Let your shoulders sink into whatever is holding you right now, whether that's a pillow, a blanket, or simply the soft weight of the evening. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to solve. For the next little while, the only task in front of you is to listen, to breathe, and, whenever your body is ready, to drift. If you'd like, you can dim the lights around you now, or pull a blanket a little higher over your shoulders. There is no wrong way to listen to this. You might fall asleep in the first few minutes, and that is perfectly all right. You might stay with me the whole way through, all the way to the fire, and the dragon, and the long, slow quiet at the end. Either way, this story will still be here, patient and warm, exactly like the cave we are about to visit. Tonight, we are going somewhere warm, somewhere old, a place that has been waiting quietly for a very long time, the way certain places do, holding their light and their warmth in reserve for exactly the right visitor. Tonight, that visitor is you. So let your eyes close, if they haven't already. Let your breath slow down, one soft inhale, one slower exhale, and let the sound of my voice carry you gently up a mountain path you have never walked before, but somehow already know. There is nothing to carry with you except yourself, just as you are, tired or not, at ease or not. That is enough. That has always been enough. Section 1. The path begins at the base of the mountain, where the grass is still damp from the afternoon and the air smells faintly of pine and rain-washed stone. You don't remember deciding to climb. You only remember that your feet already know the way, as though this walk has happened before, in some other quiet version of your life, or perhaps only in a dream you are only now stepping back into. The evening light is soft here, the kind of gentle gold that falls just before dusk, catching on the edges of leaves and turning ordinary grass into something that shimmers faintly, like it too is glad the day is winding down. You feel the coolness of the earth beneath your feet, a grounding kind of coolness, steady and real, and with each step you take, some small part of the day's noise begins to quiet, as though the mountain itself is gently asking you to leave it behind at the base of the trail, where it belongs. There is no need to check the time. There is no need to wonder how far you still have to go. The path unfolds one slow step at a time, exactly as much of it as you need, exactly when you need it, and nothing more. The trail winds gently upward, never steep, never difficult. On either side, tall trees lean in close, their branches forming a soft ceiling above you, and through the gaps in the leaves, the sky has turned the deep blue-violet of early evening. A few stars have already appeared, faint and patient, waiting for the rest of their company to arrive. Your footsteps are quiet against packed earth and moss. There is a rhythm to them, a slow and steady beat, left, right, the kind of rhythm that asks nothing of you except to keep breathing in time with it. Somewhere off in the trees, a small stream murmurs to itself, tumbling over smooth stones, and every few steps you catch its voice again, soft and constant, like a lullaby that never quite finishes and never needs to. The air grows cooler as you climb, but not cold. It is the kind of cool that feels like a held breath being slowly let out, gentle against your skin, carrying the scent of wet stone and distant wood smoke. Somewhere ahead you can already smell it, faint at first, then a little stronger with each step. Smoke, warm and sweet, like a fire that has been burning contentedly for hours, tended by patient hands. You pass a cluster of pale wildflowers growing from a crack in the stone, their petals closed for the evening, resting the way flowers do when the sun has finished its work for the day. A little further on, an owl calls once, soft and low, from somewhere deep in the branches, and the sound doesn't startle you the way it might on any other night. It simply settles into the quiet around you, One more gentle note in a forest that seems, more and more with each step, to be humming some old, unhurried lullaby, entirely its own. The higher you climb, the more the ordinary sounds of the world seem to fall away behind you, replaced by this new, softer collection of sounds: the stream, the owl, your own footsteps, your own slow breath. It is a kind of quiet you rarely get to walk inside of, and you find yourself in no hurry at all to leave it. Above you, the branches sway gently in a breeze, so soft it barely qualifies as wind at all, more of a slow exhale from the mountain itself. You notice how each tree seems to lean just slightly toward the path, as though the whole forest has arranged itself to guide you, gently, the way a row of lanterns might mark a path home. There is no need to hurry. The mountain has been here for longer than memory, and it will still be here, patient and unchanged, no matter how slowly you choose to climb. The trail bends once, twice, following the natural curve of the mountainside, and each turn reveals a little more sky, a little more of that deepening violet dusk, scattered now with a scatter of stars, more of them arriving with every passing minute, unhurried, as though they too have all the time in the world. You pass beneath an old, wide tree whose roots have grown up and over a boulder like slow-moving water, frozen mid-flow, and you let your fingers trail briefly along its bark, rough and cool and solid beneath your touch. The trees begin to thin. The path curves around a shoulder of grey rock, and there, nestled into the mountainside, half hidden behind a curtain of hanging ivy, threaded with small white flowers, is the mouth of a cave. Light spills from it in soft, flickering gold, painting the ivy leaves with warm colour, making the flowers glow faintly like tiny lanterns. You pause here, just for a moment, and let yourself notice how safe this feels. Not the safety of walls and locks, but the safety of something old and gentle that has been waiting for you, without hurry, without demand. The kind of safety that asks nothing of you except to come closer. The stream you followed earlier has faded into a faint murmur behind you now, and even the wind seems to have quieted, as if the whole mountain is holding its breath, waiting to see what you'll do next. You notice, standing there at the threshold, that your own breathing has already begun to slow, matching itself unconsciously to the calm, unhurried feeling radiating from the cave ahead. Whatever tiredness you carried up the mountain with you, whatever small weight sat on your shoulders when this evening began, already feels a little lighter here, softened by the golden light and the scent of wood smoke drifting toward you on the still air. So you do. You reach out and part the ivy curtain, and the vines are cool and soft against your fingers, the small white flowers releasing the faintest scent of honey as they brush your skin. You step through, and the mountain closes gently behind you, and the outside world, with all its noise and its schedules and its small worries, simply falls away like a coat slipping off your shoulders and landing softly on the ground. For a moment, you simply stand there, just inside the entrance, letting your eyes adjust to the warm, flickering light, letting your whole body understand, slowly and fully, that you have arrived somewhere safe. The air inside is warmer than you expected, carrying the gentle scent of wood smoke mixed with something faintly sweet, like dried herbs left to steep slowly near the fire. Your shoulders, without you quite noticing, begin to loosen, the small tension you carried all the way up the mountain finally beginning to unwind, one slow breath at a time. You take a few steps further inside, your footsteps soft against the smooth, sun-warmed stone, and the sound of the fire grows clearer now, a low, steady crackle, patient and unhurried, like it has been waiting exactly for this moment, exactly for you. Inside, the cave is nothing like you expected, and yet exactly what you needed. The walls curve upward into a high, rounded ceiling, smooth and pale, catching the firelight and scattering it into soft patterns that shift and breathe across the stone like slow-moving water. The floor beneath your feet is warm, almost impossibly so, as though the whole cave has been gently heated from somewhere deep below, a kindness built into the very rock. In the center of the space, A fire burns low and steady in a wide stone hearth, not roaring, not crackling with urgency, but glowing, deep orange and amber, with the occasional soft pop of settling embers. Around the fire, the floor is scattered with thick woven blankets in warm colors, deep reds and golds and soft browns, and a few oversized cushions that look as though they have been plumped and waiting for exactly this moment. And there, curled loosely around the far side of the fire, taking up more space than any single creature should reasonably need, and yet somehow making the whole cave feel more spacious, rather than less, is the dragon. You might expect, hearing the word dragon, to feel a flicker of fear, but there is none here. Nothing about this creature asks for fear. Its scales are the deep green of old moss, edged in soft bronze that catches the firelight like scattered coins, and they rise and fall slowly with each breath, a long, unhurried rhythm that seems to slow your own breathing to match it without you even trying. Its eyes, when they open to look at you, are the warm amber of the fire itself, half-lidded, patient, entirely unbothered by your arrival, as though it has simply been expecting you, the way one expects an old friend who is always, eventually, a little late. Its wings, folded loosely along its back, are edged in the same soft bronze as its scales, catching the firelight in slow, shifting glimmers each time it breathes. Every part of it seems built for stillness rather than flight tonight, settled deep into the warm stone, the way a favorite chair settles into the corner of a well-loved room, shaped by years of exactly this kind of rest. The dragon does not rise. It does not need to. Instead, one great wing shifts slightly, unfolding just enough to gesture, almost lazily, toward the cushions nearest the fire, an invitation extended without a single word. And somehow, in that small, slow movement, you understand everything you need to know. That you are welcome here, that there is no rush, that nothing is expected of you except to sit and rest and listen for as long as you'd like. So you do. You lower yourself onto the nearest cushion, and it is exactly as soft as it looked, molding gently around you, the fire's warmth reaching your skin in slow, comfortable waves. The dragon watches you settle with what might on any other face be called a smile, though on a face made of scale and ancient patience, it reads instead as something quieter, contentment, welcome, the simple pleasure of company on a long, unhurried evening. For a while, neither of you speaks. There is no need to fill the silence. The fire crackles softly. Somewhere deep in the cave, water drips slowly from stone to stone, each drop landing with a small, musical note. The dragon's breathing continues its long, slow rhythm, in and out, and in and out, and you find your own breath falling into step beside it, matching its pace without effort, the way two old friends might fall into step on a familiar walk. You let your gaze wander slowly around the cave, taking in details you missed at first. Small alcoves carved into the walls hold soft, glowing stones, each one a different warm color, amber and rose and pale gold, casting gentle pools of light that overlap with the fire's glow. In one corner, a small collection of smooth river stones has been stacked into a careful, patient tower, the kind of quiet, unhurried project only someone with centuries to spare might undertake. Everywhere you look, the cave feels lived in, cared for, loved, in the unhurried way that only very old, very patient things can be loved. Beyond the fire's glow, the far reaches of the cave fade into a soft, comfortable darkness, the kind that doesn't feel empty so much as restful, a place where the eye is simply invited to stop searching and settle instead. The dragon's tail curls slowly across the stone floor, the very tip of it flicking once, lazily, before settling still again. Its scales shimmer faintly with each small movement, catching the firelight in ripples of green and bronze that remind you, somehow, of sunlight on still water. You find yourself studying the shape of it, the great curve of its back, the soft folds of its wings tucked close against its sides, and rather than feeling small or unsettled by its size, you feel, instead, wrapped, sheltered. The way you might feel standing beneath a very old, very wide tree during a gentle rain. Above you, the cave's high ceiling continues its slow dance of shifting golden light, patterns rising and falling with the fire's quiet rhythm, and you let your eyes follow them for a while, up and along the curved stone, tracing shapes that appear and dissolve and appear again, gentle and endless, asking nothing of you but to watch and to breathe and to let your body settle just a little further into the cushions beneath you. You notice, too, the particular quality of the quiet here, a quiet that feels less like an absence of sound and more like a presence all its own, thick and warm, wrapping around you the way the blankets do. Even the fire's crackle seems to belong to that quiet rather than interrupt it, each small pop and shift folding neatly back into the stillness a moment later, leaving no ripple behind. It occurs to you, slowly, drowsily, that you cannot remember the last time you sat somewhere and felt no urge at all to check the time, to plan the next thing, to be anywhere other than exactly here. That thought, too, seems to belong to the quiet now, drifting gently through your mind and settling somewhere soft, without any weight to it at all. The dragon's eyes open again, slowly, and find yours across the firelight, warm and unhurried, the way an old friend might glance over, simply to confirm that you are comfortable, that you are settled, that nothing more is needed from either of you just yet. Satisfied, it lets its eyes drift half-closed once more, content simply to share the warmth and the quiet a while longer before any words are needed at all. After a while, the dragon speaks, and its voice is nothing like you might imagine. It is low, yes, and deep, the way distant thunder is deep, but softened somehow, worn smooth like a river stone, carrying none of thunder's sharpness. That is the voice of something very old that has long since stopped needing to prove its strength to anyone. I have been sitting by this fire, the dragon says, for longer than the mountain outside remembers being young, and in all that time I have found that the very best evenings are the ones spent doing exactly this. Nothing more than this. You find yourself nodding, though you're not sure the dragon needs you to answer. The fire shifts, sending a small shower of soft gold sparks upward, and the dragon watches them, rise and fade with the calm patience of someone who has watched 10,000 such sparks before, and found each one, somehow, still worth watching. Would you like a story? The dragon asks, and its head tilts slightly, amber eyes catching the firelight. I have many. Some are old enough that even I have forgotten if they happened, or if I only wished them into being on a long winter evening, many lifetimes ago. It hardly matters in the end. A good story is a good story, whether it is remembered or invented. You settle a little deeper into the cushions, pulling one of the warm blankets over your knees, and the dragon, taking your silence as answer enough, begins. There was once, the dragon says, its voice falling into the unhurried rhythm of a tale told many times before, worn smooth and comfortable like a favorite path, a small village at the base of a very different mountain, in a valley so quiet that even the wind seemed to tiptoe through it out of respect. The villagers there did not lock their doors, for there was nothing in that valley that needed locking out, and nothing in their hearts that needed locking in. The fire crackles gently, punctuating the pause. Every autumn, when the leaves turned the color of this very fire, the dragon continues, the villagers would climb a little way up the mountain to a wide, flat meadow, and there they would lay out blankets much like these and share a meal beneath the first stars of the season. They did not do this because anything special had happened. They did this simply because it was good, and because good things, when repeated with enough care, become something like magic. You find your eyelids growing heavy, the warmth of the fire and the low, steady cadence of the dragon's voice working together like two hands gently smoothing a wrinkled blanket. The story continues, soft and unhurried, weaving through a description of golden meadow grass and the particular sweetness of autumn air, of children falling asleep against their parents' shoulders, while the adults spoke in low voices about nothing important at all, the kind of nothing that is, in fact, everything. There was an old woman in that village, the dragon continues after a moment, its voice softening further, who was known for nothing more remarkable than the quality of her tea and the patience with which she poured it. Every evening she would set a kettle on her small stove, and by the time it whistled, softly, gently, half the village had already gathered on her porch, drawn not by anything she said, but simply by the warmth of sitting near her. The dragon's eyes drift half-closed as it speaks, remembering, she never rushed the pouring, cup by cup, slow and careful, and somehow, in that unhurried ritual, the whole village learned something about patience that no lesson could have taught them half so well. And there was a baker, the dragon murmurs on, the words slowing further, softer now, whose bread rose a little too slowly, always, no matter how he tried to hurry it. In time, he stopped trying. He let the dough take exactly as long as it needed, and the whole village learned to plan their mornings around that slowness, arriving a little later, sitting a little longer, talking a little more gently while they waited. The bread, when it finally came, was always worth the wait. It always is, when you stop counting the minutes. The fire settles further, the embers glowing a deeper, softer orange now, casting long, gentle shadows that stretch and sway across the curved stone walls. The dragon shifts its great weight slightly, curling a fraction closer to the warmth, one wing drawing in like a blanket settling into place. There was also a shepherd, the dragon adds, almost as an afterthought, its voice slower now, quieter, who used to walk his flock down from the high pastures each evening as the light faded, and who never once hurried them, not even when the wind turned cold, not even when supper was surely growing cold at home. He said the sheep knew the pace of the mountain better than he did, and that the wisest thing a shepherd could do was simply follow it. The dragon's eyes close a little further. I think about that shepherd often, about how much easier the world becomes when you stop trying to walk faster than it wants you to. That is the secret of good stories, the dragon says, its voice now barely more than a low, warm murmur, and of good evenings, and of good sleep, if I may say so. Nothing needs to happen, nothing needs to be solved, or won, or hurried toward. The old woman and her tea, the baker and his slow bread, the shepherd and his unhurried flock, a village gathering beneath the stars, for no reason at all, beyond the simple pleasure of gathering. These are the stories that let the mind finally rest, because they ask nothing of it. They only offer it a soft place to land. There is one more thing I remember about that village, the dragon says after a while, its voice softer now, slower, drifting the way smoke drifts when there is no wind to hurry it along. Every year, on the longest night of winter, the whole village would gather in the square, and they would not speak at all, not one word, from sundown until the first light of morning. They called it the quiet vigil, though nobody quite remembered why it had begun, only that it felt right, once a year, to simply be together in silence, watching the same stars, breathing the same cold, clean air, needing nothing from each other but company. I have always thought, the dragon murmurs, its words slowing further still, that this cave keeps a version of that vigil every single night. No words needed, no stories needed really, though I do enjoy telling them, only warmth and quiet and the simple comfort of not being alone while the dark settles in outside. For a long while after that, the dragon simply lets the silence stretch, unbothered, unhurried, the fire's low crackle filling the space between words the way it has filled countless such silences before, for countless other quiet visitors who found their way, eventually, to this very same fire. There is a comfort, the dragon murmurs, almost to itself now, in stories that ask nothing of you, in evenings that ask nothing of you, in this cave, and this fire, and this quiet, which will still be here tomorrow, exactly as warm, exactly as gentle, whether you remember tonight or not. The cave has grown quieter now. The fire has burned down further still, its light softer, dimmer, more amber than gold, casting the walls in deep, warm shadow. The dragon's voice, when it speaks again, is barely more than a low hum, each word arriving slower than the last, unhurried, patient, the way a stream slows as it reaches wider, calmer water. You may rest now, the dragon says. There is nowhere else you need to be tonight. The blankets around you feel heavier somehow, warmer, pressing you gently down into the cushions. Your own breathing has slowed to match the dragon's long, deep rhythm without you ever deciding to let it happen. In and out. In and out. This cave, the dragon says, its voice quieter still, has held many tired travelers before you. Each one arrived carrying something. Worry, tiredness, the small, heavy weight of a long day, or a long week, or a long year. A pause, filled only with the soft crackle of embers, and each one left it here, by the fire, when they were ready. You may do the same, if you'd like. There is no hurry. You feel your own shoulders loosen, the small tensions you didn't even know you were carrying beginning, one by one, to soften and release, sinking down into the warm stone floor beneath you. Perhaps there is a thought still circling somewhere at the back of your mind, something from earlier in the day, some small unfinished thing. If there is, you can imagine setting it down now, gently, the way you might set down a warm cup once you've finished drinking, no longer needing to hold it, simply letting it rest on the stone beside you, within reach if you want it later, but no longer something you have to carry. Your breathing continues to slow, matching the dragon's steady rhythm, without any effort on your part. In and out. The fire crackles softly, low and warm, sending the faintest curl of smoke upward toward the high stone ceiling, where it dissolves quietly into the dark. Somewhere far above, beyond the rock and the trees and the night sky, the stars continue their slow turning, patient and unbothered, the way they have every night for longer than this mountain has had a name. You notice how heavy your eyelids have become, how pleasant that heaviness feels, like a warm hand resting gently over your eyes, inviting them to close a little further, a little longer each time. There is nothing wrong with that heaviness. It is only your body finally believing that it is safe to rest, finally allowing itself the permission it has perhaps been waiting for all day. Somewhere in the back of your mind, softly, you might notice a kind of gratitude settling in alongside the tiredness, a quiet thankfulness for this fire, this warmth, this unhurried company, for the simple gift of a place where nothing at all is required of you. That gratitude, too, is welcome to rest here beside you, needing no further attention, no further thought, just one more soft, warm thing settling gently into the stillness of the cave. The dragon's scales catch the last of the firelight in slow, shifting patterns, green and bronze and deep amber, and its eyes have drifted closed now, or nearly so, watching you through the thinnest sliver of gold, patient and warm. Outside, far beyond the cave, the mountain has fully settled into night. If you listened closely, you might hear the faint whisper of wind moving through the trees below, or the distant, patient call of some night bird settling into its own rest. But none of that reaches you here. Here there is only the fire, and the dragon, and the warm, unhurried quiet of a place built entirely for resting. You do not need to hold your thoughts together any more tonight, the dragon says, its voice a slow, low hum now, each word arriving like a wave reaching shore and receding again. Whatever you were thinking about on your walk up the mountain, whatever small worry followed you through the trees, you may simply let it rest here by the fire, the way a traveler sets down a heavy bag they've carried too long. It will still be there tomorrow if you want it, but tonight it can simply rest. Sleep is not something you need to reach for, the dragon says, so quietly now that the words seem to blend with the crackle of the fire and the slow drip of water somewhere deep in the stone. It is something that reaches for you when you finally stop holding on to everything else. The blankets seem to grow heavier still, warmer still, and somewhere beneath that warmth, you feel your thoughts beginning to loosen, to drift apart, the way clouds drift apart on a slow summer afternoon, no longer holding any particular shape, simply floating, unhurried, wherever the wind carries them. The shadows on the walls have stopped moving almost entirely now, the fire reduced to a low, steady glow, deep red at its heart, soft grey ash gathering gently at its edges. Somewhere far above, beyond the cave and the mountain and the darkening sky, the stars continue their slow, silent turning, patient and endless, asking nothing of anyone. Rest now, the dragon breathes, the words unfurling, slow and soft as smoke. The fire will keep, the mountain will keep, I will keep watch, exactly as I always have. There is nothing you need to do, nothing at all. The cave settles into a deeper hush around you, the kind of hush that feels less like silence and more like held warmth, thick and soft, wrapping itself around the fire and the blankets, and the two of you resting quietly beside it. Every now and then a single ember shifts in the hearth, sending up the faintest whisper of a spark, and each time the dragon's eyes open just a sliver, watching it rise and fade, before drifting closed again, unbothered, unhurried. You feel yourself sinking further into the cushions beneath you, the warmth of the stone floor rising gently up through the blankets, through the fabric, into your skin, settling into your muscles one by one, easing them, one by one, into stillness. Your thoughts have grown quieter too, softer at the edges, drifting further apart, like the last few embers scattering upward into the dark and disappearing without a sound. The cave is very quiet now. The fire has settled into its final glow, deep and low, more ember than flame, casting the gentlest amber light across the curved stone above you. The dragon breathes slowly beside you, in and out. The blankets are warm, the stone beneath you is warm. Somewhere, very far away, water drips, once, softly, into still water below. The last of the day's small worries have long since dissolved into the warm dark, the way morning mist dissolves once the sun finally clears the tree line, quietly, completely, without ever needing to be told to go. There is nothing left to think about tonight. There is nowhere left to be. Only this warmth, only this quiet, only the slow, steady sound of a very old, very kind creature breathing beside you, patient as the mountain itself. The fire dims a little further. The shadows on the walls grow softer, gentler, until they are barely shadows at all, only a deep, warm dark, settling in, like the last edge of a blanket being drawn up over tired shoulders. Somewhere, the mountain sleeps too. Somewhere, the stars keep their slow, silent watch, exactly as they always have, exactly as they always will. And here, in this warm, glowing cave, none of that matters anymore. Only the warmth, only the quiet, only the soft, steady rhythm of breath, in and out, and in and out, slower now, softer now, drifting further from thought and foo,